Hi, it's Seta here. Welcome to another video about realistic lighting. This time I'm going to show you how to set up nighttime lighting, but in Unity URP. Before we dive into the tutorial, I'd like to invite you to join my Discord channel. The link you can find in the video description. And now, let's get started. In this video I'll be using Unity 6 and here I have a simple scene that I created for the video last page. But the settings will be useful in any other scene that you create. So first, let's set up sky. In URP, unfortunately, we are very limited in this regards because unlike hdrp, we don't have volumetric clouds or even a simple cloud layer, so we have to use a Skybox for this purpose. You can find many free HDR files online that we can easily use in Unity. I already have one here, and you can download this Skybox from the link that I post in the description. Now, to turn it into a Skybox, you just need to click on it and then select Texture Shape in the inspector and set it to a cube. Then click Apply. Now we need to go to the Lighting tab. If you don't have it open, just click Window, Rendering, Lighting. And here in the Environment tab, we can add the Skybox material. Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't have such a material. To create it, you can drag your HDR file into the scene or create it manually by right-clicking and selecting Create, Material. Let's name it Sky. Then click on Shader and select Skybox Cube Map. Place your Skybox in the empty slot and then assign your material into the Lighting Environment tab. And in this way, our Skybox has appeared in the scene. If you click on the material, you can freely rotate it and also adjust its color and exposure. We want to set nighttime lighting, so I will lower the exposure to low values and then add a slight blue tint on it. Of course, every Skybox will be different, so adjust the settings to your own preference. Now let's deal with ambient light. If we go back to the Lighting tab, the source is set to Skybox. Let's change it to Gradient, and this will allow us to adjust it precisely. First, we have sky color, which simulates sky illumination. So let's set it to a light blue and then darken it a bit. Next, we have equator color, which simulates horizontal illumination. So let's set a similar shade here. The last is ground color, which simulates light reflected from the ground. In our case, we want the details on the ground to be visible, so let's set this to dark gray. Now, let's move on to the directional light. If your Skybox has a moon, try to set the directional light so that the direction of the rays matches the moon's position. In my scene, there is no moon, so I will set the light directly overhead. Then, in the Lighting Appearance tab, let's select Filter and Temperature. Set the temperature to the coldest possible value, as we want to simulate nighttime lighting. Now our light is too strong, so let's change this value to 0.1. We can leave the shadow type as soft, and with strength we can control how dark our shadow will be. The next element is fog. At the moment, our models stand out too much from the background, so we need to change this. Since we want the object in the background to be darker, let's set the fog color to almost black. Change the mode to exponential and set the density to 0.06, as we want to limit visibility. The general rule is to matching the fog color as closely as possible to the Skybox color. So if the background of your Skybox show, for example, dark trees, then set the fog color to match, so there is no noticeable separation between the models and the background. Now let's move on to the post-processing. In the hierarchy window, right-click and select Volume, Global Volume. Create a new profile, and first select post-processing, then tone mapping. We have a few options here, and I warn you not to choose ACAS, because although this color management standard may be useful in some scenes, it causes more problems than benefits, such as significantly boosting contrast and deepening shadows. Instead of this, we use neutral to have full control over the image. Now let's add color adjustment, and first slightly increase the contrast in our scene and slightly reduce the saturation, because color at night are not very intense. The next step is exposure, and I know many of you are tempted to make the whole scene dark, but don't do this. If the scene doesn't require it, players won't be able to see anything, which only causes frustration. So it's good to leave them at least some slight visibility to orient themselves in the surroundings. So I will increase the exposure slightly to achieve this effect. The next element is split toning, which allows us to control the bright and dark area of the image and give them a specific tint. Here you will need to adjust the settings to your own preference. The final element will be white balance, which allows us to give a scene a warmer or colder tone. Now all that's left to do is add reflection props and bake your scene, whether you want to use light maps or a adaptive prop volume. At this point, I also remind you that you can download my free tool from the Asset Store, which allows you to quick adjust the Receive Global Illumination settings for all prefabs. The link is in the description. Everything I will show you here can of course be used differently, depending on whether you want a dark scene or perhaps more shades of blue. And that's all for this tutorial. I hope you learned something new and that the settings I will show you will be useful in your project. If you have any questions, write them in the comments below or in Discord channel. Until next time, see ya!